If your $300 fragrance is cloned for $30, what does that say about that $300 fragrance? What are you really paying for? Not the ingredients, not the performance, not the longevity. You're paying to basically flex in silence. Because guess what? The logo in that bottle, you can't wear the brand of the fragrance outside of the house. If there was a way where you could show off the logo on your fragrance bottle, then it'll make sense. Make a little bit more justification for why you're paying $300 for a fragrance. It's possible to find a high quality fragrance for under $40. I got 7 of them for you. I got 7 fragrances that expose the greed of designer fragrances. Kilian Angel Share is selling a sweet, boozy apple pie scent for, $250. You can literally walk into a bakery, a Kroger, hell, your grandma's kitchen when she's baking on a Sunday, and you can smell an apple pie smell. You can smell a gourmand. You can smell a boozy smell, right? Gourmand smells are fragrances that you can get from regular experiences. There's nothing unique about them. Like I said, you can walk into a Walmart or Kroger, go to the bakery section and smell gourmand. There's no reason you should be paying over $100 to smell like something that is so easily attainable, that is so easily available. Especially when a fragrance like Dumont, Celerio Epic Dumont, gives you the exact same smell, right? For under $40. I mean, this thing is great. This thing is awesome. I get 10 hours out of this fragrance and it's projecting, it's performing really well for all of those 10 hours. I get major compliments. One day I wore this fragrance and I got 22 compliments in a day. It puts people in a state of ease when they smell it, right? Because it does smell like an apple pie out of the oven, right? Sitting in front of the fire, smoking on a cigar, drinking on a cognac. The familiarity to it is one of the compelling factors to this fragrance, right? But like I said, at the end of the day, the notes in it are easily attainable. And when you have a fragrance like this that is able to master it and capture it for under $40, there's no reason to spend $250 on Kilian Angel Share. Dumont Nitro Intense. You all know that Aventus made Creed very iconic. It was 65% of their revenue. And when they got bought out by BlackRock back in 2018, I noticed the formulation get weaker. Other people have said it, but I noticed it too because I used to have a bottle. It was almost like they reformulated it to water. No, I'm kidding, but it was so weak. And it's because a lot of these conglomerates, when they buy out these fragrance companies, these are businessmen. These aren't perfumers, so they don't really care about the juice inside of the product. They more so care about increasing profits. So what does that look like? That's less longevity, right? If you have a fragrance that lasts too long, guess what? People don't get to use it as much. If they don't get to use it as much, it doesn't run out. If it doesn't run out, you can't buy more, right? So they're looking to grow the portfolio of that company they just bought. So they're going to increase things that like marketing and branding, not necessarily formulation. Now, but when you have a brand like this, it stands out, right? Because what Dumont Intense has done differently with this is they've added cinnamon here. Think about Creed Aventus plus cinnamon. I never thought that they could go together, but for some reason it goes together. And what the cinnamon actually does in this fragrance, it intensifies it, right? It makes the smoky pineapple a little bit more intense, more concentrated. It feels more potent. It feels richer, right? You pick it up a lot more. It's not spread apart like Creed Aventus is. It seems a lot more intensified and a lot more potent, right? It gives it that potency that original Creed Aventus has. And it's a beautiful fragrance. It's a good smelling fragrance. I get easily 7 hours out of this fragrance. The longevity is amazing. I mean, it projects really well for the first 4 or 5 hours. And after that, it becomes a skin scent. But I mean, that's really good performance for a fresh fragrance, right? But that cinnamon makes it a lot more noticeable with the smoky pineapple, because like the cinnamon, it almost like it clears your pathways, like your breathing pathways, so you can smell the other parts of the fragrance. You pick up more of the cinnamon, but you still pick up the fresh, smoky pineapple citrus. Beautiful fragrance right here, Creed Aventus Dupe. And to keep it in that same vein, right, we're going to talk about, it's another Creed fragrance. This is Afnan Supremacy Collector's Edition. This is supposed to be a dupe to Creed Aventus Absolute. And obviously, the greed in Creed Aventus Absolute is obvious, right? Another variation of a fragrance that was mad successful, made 65% of the revenue. Your goal is just to maximize profit. So you're not testing out anything new. You're gonna just recreate stuff that already worked. So that's kind of like what they did with Absolute. The next fragrance they need to create is Greed by Creed, because we've had enough of Aventus. Creed, please. You've made enough money off of Aventus and all the variations of Aventus that you keep dropping. We get it. It was successful, right? It made you a lot of money. It made your valuation big enough to where you were able to sell your company for $3 billion. Afnan Supremacy Collector's Edition kind of allows you to break that trend, break that mold of funding the same operation, the spamming of the same fragrance. You're getting the exact same smell for under $40. Next one is Joe Milano Wildcard. Joe Milano Wildcard exposed the greed of Bond number 9 Lafayette, just Bond number 9 in general, but Lafayette specifically, because the formulation, the DNA for Lafayette, now it doesn't say it on Fragrantica if you go check, but the perfumer that created that formula is Michel Amarac. Michel Amarac used that same formulation back in 1995, 30 years ago, for Nico's Sculptor, a fragrance that you could find in Burlington, you could find at Ross. And then he used the same formulation again for Dunhill, Desire for Men. Alfred Dunhill, Desire for Men, has the same formula as Nico's Sculptor. That one came out in 2000, 25 years ago. And that's a fragrance that you could also find at Burlington for under $30. So I don't know who gave Bond number 9 the audacity to charge the same formulation, the same ingredients for $400 under Lafayette. It's so funny to me, you know, when you start noticing like they're just doing the same thing Dupe companies are doing. They're just not coming out and saying it. And what we do is of making them think that they're just the DNA. It's just the DNA. No, it's a dupe. It's a clone. Bond number 9 Lafayette, it's a dupe. It's an expensive dupe, but it's a dupe. So instead of paying $400 for that smell, grab Joe Milano Wildcard, bro. Grab Joe Milano Wildcard for, I think it's around $55, $60. That is a big difference from how much Lafayette is charging me for it, right? Greed. Right, so yes, and this thing is a beast. It's a projection beast, sillage beast, longevity. You get at least 10 hours with this fragrance right here. It's gonna last so long. When you walk by people, they're gonna smell you. It's gonna go before you, right? It smells like a fruity, tropical vanilla. It's smooth, it's elegant. Next one we're gonna discuss is Liquid Brun by French Avenue. So Liquid Brun by French Avenue exposed Parfum de Mali Althair. Parfum de Mali Althair was created by 2 perfumers. I mean, it's $400, but it was created by 2 perfumers. Those same 2 perfumers worked with a Dupe brand directly, and they didn't hide it, right? A lot of times what Dupe companies do is they just buy their formulation from Symrise, Firmenich, IFF, Givaudan. No, they didn't hide this one. Vanilla Stallion literally shows that the same formula, the same perfumers that created Parfum de Mali Althair also created Alexandria Fragrance's Vanilla Stallion. But Parfum de Mali charged that same formulation for 10 times more. Alexandria Fragrances, they sold it for around $80, $90, $100, right? Greed, man. Well, Liquid Brun French Avenue is right in that $40, $45 range, which is perfect for a Dupe price. The projection is amazing. The longevity is amazing. 10 out of 10 fragrance. Best Dupe fragrance last year. Best fragrance overall when it comes to like price, performance, smell. To me, best fragrance 2024. So, and last but not least, not to get repetitive, but just to kind of connect things and bring it full circle, just to kind of show you guys like the tricks these guys try to run on us, right? And it's getting a little bit more obvious with the data and the information that we have. Well, Coach just recently dropped a new fragrance, 2025. Now, I didn't know Coach was already bought out. Well, I kind of knew, but I didn't know who they were bought out by. But Inter Perfumes owns Coach, and they just dropped a new fragrance. This is supposed to be the new fragrance that was sponsored, or they used Jason Tatum as the face of the fragrance. When I smelled this fragrance, something went off in my head. I was like, bro, I've smelled this before. And it took me about 2 to 3 minutes to realize that this is just a dupe to Dior Sauvage Elixir. But what's not gonna happen? What's not gonna happen is people are not gonna call this a dupe. They're gonna say it's a DNA. They're gonna say, oh, it has a similar scent structure. Come on, man. But if it's a dupe that did the same thing when Dior Sauvage did what this did, you know what they called it? Clone, a dupe, fake, counterfeit. Those were the names that were attached to Lattafa Asad when it did exactly what Coach did. Just because Coach has a luxury name, right? A luxury brand, so we're a little bit biased with how we view it. but it's doing the exact same thing and keeping the same price tag. So they're charging over $100 for this, right? This is around $20, $25 for the exact same smell, exact same performance, right? This actually lasts longer. So in my mind, I'm like, man, like that just definitely exposed the greed of not only Coach, but Dior Sauvage. Those are the 7 fragrances that expose the greed of luxury fragrances. You know, thank you guys for tuning to the channel. Thank you guys for watching. My name is Lattafa. Fashion is my passion. And I'm about that action.